Friday at COTA, and here, Marc's fastest, which matters. But it's not the story yet, because this track, it's never just about one lap. It's about who can make the bike work over distance. You've got the sprint, you've got the full race on Sunday, and those are two completely different problems to solve. But before any of that, we still got Q1 and Q2, and that's where this weekend really starts to take shape. Because right now, this is Aprilia versus Ducati. Bezz is there, Ogura is right up in second, Martin's in it, Aprilia have turned up, Ducati, yeah, Marc's on top, but this isn't just about him anymore. That bike works across the grid. So the question isn't just about who's fastest, who can actually make this thing work when it matters, and that's the angle. Good morning, Don. How are we going this morning?
Well, it's morning for you. It's bloody midnight for me.
Don't worry. One of these days it's going to swap around, and it's going to be morning. It's going to be night for me, and it'll be morning for you.
Not how it is more often. But yeah, we just had COTA. So for me, that's late at night, 11 o'clock at night. For you, it's 7 o'clock in the morning.
That's right, yeah. I've been up since 4 watching Moto 2, Moto 3, and it's been quite exciting. And man, the track is bumpy, isn't it?
Okay, so we were actually talking earlier. This is one of the circuits I've actually been around. When Ducati launched the first Panigale R, they had the launch there. I got invited. And the track had just been built. They never had a MotoGP there yet, nothing like that. 2013, and man, what an interesting circuit. It's the thing about it, it's extremely long. It's got 20 corners, and it's so different. It's like they've got such a variety of different corners, a whole lot of undulation, a whole lot of different kind of aspects. It's very difficult to kind of find a flow. I mean, we were riding in 15-minute sessions, so we did like 6 15-minute sessions throughout the entire day. And by like lunchtime, I was sitting at lunch with a whole lot of all the other journalists from all over the world, and we're like, does anybody quite know which way this track goes yet? And they all sort of went, you still kind of go over like the one rise, and you're kind of looking, going, does it go, which way does it go now? Which one? Oh, it's this one, damn. And it really is a tricky corner, but a tricky circuit. But what is interesting is it's gotten very bumpy. I mean, especially in the braking zone, you can see the cars have clearly kind of mashed up the tarmac. But what it does do is it makes it a very spectacular track to watch bikes going fast. You watch those riders. I mean, either they're going through those sort of sections where they're kind of side, and you're watching them muscle those motorcycles, or they're braking hard for corners, going over bumps, getting the bike all out of shape. So when you watch riders riding hard, it looks spectacular because the bike moves around a lot. It looks fast. It looks like they're trying hard, which is, when we're watching the end of FP2, or what do they call it? It's FP1, then it's P1. It's all very confusing.
It's practice.
Yeah, but when the guys were going for Q2, it was just spectacular to watch those bikes. It's utterly amazing.
The track is quite bumpy, Donovan, absolutely. I was actually paying attention today, and around 36 minutes, I was watching Top Rack. He was going out and he was following Bezz, and I found that quite interesting. And you could clearly see that the Aprilia was tipping in so much smoother. Top Rack was really having to manhandle that bike, and I think that's a clear sign of that Yamaha's development. I don't think that chassis is actually working that well at this stage.
This is a very tough circuit for chassis. As I say, there's a lot of variable sort of corners, different kinds of corners, and they do different sort of things. And it makes it difficult, especially with these bikes. They don't have a big background of setup. They don't have a big sort of reservoir of knowledge. They're trying to kind of figure stuff out. So I think it is very difficult for them, and think even more so for Top Rack. As far as I know, World Superbikes don't ride around this track. This is a very difficult track to learn. As I say, it's long. It's very... It's difficult to find a flow because they've got such strange corners, and all very variant, very different kind of corners. It's a lot of fun. It's just a spectacular circuit. But For Toprak, I mean, I'm surprised. I'm just looking now. Where did he finish? He was quite far down.
18th.
He was 18th,
him
but I
and-
mean,
him and Diego Moreira are pretty much the two rookies of
I
the
mean,
year,
that's-
running very close, similar times.
yeah, but Moreira's ridden there before. Toprak has not. I mean, that's a spectacular
Yep.
time from Toprak. He's ahead of Alex Rins. Binder had an abysmal time. I mean, he didn't manage
Yeah.
to get. He clearly has not found a good kind of setup that works for him. And he was going out right at the end. He had not done a proper fast lap, and finally, right at the end, he was doing. He had one more lap. Let's go. Let's nail it. Turn one, lost it, and went down. The sixth crash for the session. I mean, it was a bit of a show. And we had Marquez had a big crash this morning in the morning session. That was interesting.
It was a high speed as well. I think it was 10-11, was it?
Yeah, it's turn 11. So what happens is you go through all these sort of the first part of the circuit is very sort of flow. You've got these sort of back and forth corners that kind of weave like this, and they end in quite a sort of tight chicane. The last of which is this left-hander that comes over a hill. So you're sort of going over this rise up like that. You accelerate like hell, go over the crest of the rise. Now you're accelerating from a low speed, the weight's on the back of the motorcycle, the front wheel's very light, and then while you're doing that, you're going into this, which I think on a MotoGP bike is either flat out or nearly flat out. You're turning in, but you're turning in while still accelerating over this crest. So the front is very, very light, and there's a whole lot of bumps there. So you're going over with this very light front end, hitting a whole lot of bumps, and then it just tucks. It's not the first time that's happened. We've seen a few riders go down like this. But of course, it was Marquez. All the commentators make a really, really big fuss about it. And we saw like 900 different... Well, we did notice we did not see the Binder crash. We have no idea what happened, but we saw 900 repeats of the Marquez crash. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I had a look there, and it seemed, because I was comparing Marc coming through turn 10, and there was some footage of Ogura coming through. Just to let you know, Ogura finished second there.
That's
and
amazing.
I had a look at the times from last year, and last year Marc actually ran 2:01.088. Now in practice today he beat that already. He ran at 2:00.927. I'm just going to repeat that number. He ran at 2:01.088. Ogura came in second on practice today, and he ran at 2:00.980, which is below the track record from last year. He was only 0.053 seconds behind Marc, and that is probably about that much over that line, to be honest. It is so close. But I was comparing Ogura coming into turn 10, and that bike, there was some slow-mo action, and that bike was all over the show. You can see it's so undulating. And the Ducatis seem to be stabler through that corner. And I think that's definitely... Ducati's always been working really hard. Throughout the session, I saw when Marc did go back to the pits, he was indicating that he needs more rear traction on it, especially through turns 10 and 11. And I think they've got that sorted out. But lo and behold, the Aprilias are doing reasonably well. And having looked at it, I was watching Bezz, and obviously you and me were texting each other throughout. But in my opinion, Bezz was sandbagging throughout that session. I don't think he's playing his hand.
I don't know if he was sandbagging. I know Bezz he takes a while to get into it. So it's day one today. And you remember at the last session of Brazil, the last race of Brazil. I mean, he wasn't until the final day, the Sunday, he actually came good after all the rain and all that. So he takes a little bit longer, but I mean, he's not far behind. I was just looking now. I mean, we got the last 15 minutes was just glorious watching it, because you had all these different. You just had red helmets that kept coming up. Now, previously, what would happen at this circuit is Marquez would go out, put a hard lap in, absolutely obliterate everybody, and then we just see orange after that. Marquez would just chill out, go for lunch. And we didn't see that this time. I mean, Marquez is fastest, but he's not dominating. He's not. This is not a sure thing. I mean, he's less than 100th of a second away behind Ogura. Antonio on the same motorcycle is right behind him. So it's Marquez Ducati, Ogura Aprilia, Antonio Ducati, Bezzecchi Aprilia, Alex Marquez Ducati, then the KTM, then Aprilia, then Ducati, So it's Aprilia Ducati, excluding the 1 KTM. So I would suggest that right now on this track over the fast, and remember this is a 1-lap pace. This is all 1-lap pace.
Yeah.
Ducatis do very well at 1-lap pace. I suspect the Aprilias are better over race distance, and that's what we've seen in our limited time of seeing the 2 races we've had. We've just seen the Aprilias able to hold it together better over race distance.
Yeah.
So that would say, I would suggest possibly that the fact that the Aprilias are very even with the Ducatis over the 1-lap pace suggests that in the race, the main race on Sunday, Ducatis are a little bit behind. But that's just what limited information we have for now.
Just out of interest's sake, Marco Bezzecchi has actually never been on podium in COTA. So I mean, if he can come around, that would be amazing. An interesting thing is that Fabio Di Giannantonio is absolutely showing pace. I'm quite happy to report that Pekka seems to be a little bit more confident coming into this.
Bagnaia,
and
yeah,
there definitely has been a development on the 2026 bike. Now, there's been a lot of talk with Marc's contract negotiations, and it seems that Ducati might not be that certain about it. And I think you can't develop a bike around just one rider. And I think Ducati has realized that. And I mean, if one of their riders were to leave, let's just say it out, if Marc were to leave and they developed that bike around him, Ducati would be in huge trouble. So I think what they've done this year is they've developed a bike around the other races. And now you're seeing Digi coming back around there. Pekka seems to be a little bit more confident. And if we look back at the 2025 bike, and we all said that the 25 bike was Marc's bike, it was built for him. If you look at Firmin Aldeguer, he's down in number 12. And then the next 25 bike was down, Frankie Morbidelli, down in 20th position. So I do think that Ducati has changed that bike setup, and it does suit the other riders.
Yeah, they have. As I said previously, you got this where I think in 2025 they listened to Marquez too much, and you ended up with a bike that only a Marc Márquez could ride. Digi and Bagnaia, the 2 other factory bike riders, were both complaining about the same thing. Digi handled it better than Bagnaia did, but you look at it now, I mean, Delina and them, they've seen the mistakes of the past. They're not going to now go ahead and say, well, hang on a second, let's keep going with Marquez. And I think this year they've tried to build a bike that's more kind of universally rideable, and I think they've done a very good job. But I still, again, we'll have to see what happens, But I think tomorrow's qualifying, I still think Marquez is just slightly faster. Although I think Bezzecchi, again, Marquez is very good at coming out of the box and immediately getting up to pace. He will get up to pace very, very quickly. The likes of Bezzecchi take a little bit longer. And the fact that Bezzecchi is only 0.2 of a second slower, which is not a lot considering this is a 2-minute lap. I mean, it's ridiculously long. It's not that far off double the lap time from Brazil last week. It's not that far off double. And, so that's not very far away. So I think Aprilia will be mulling tonight. Bezzecchi will be mulling tonight. And I think tomorrow you'll probably find that they'll gain it. Usually what happens is that Bezzecchi will gain a bit more pace, and Marquez will kind of stay where he is. As I say, he hits that upper limit very quickly, so he will catch up a little bit. But I still think I would say tomorrow in the sprint, Marquez for pole, possibly the sprint race win. But I think I'm going to put money on Bezzecchi for the main race. That's right now. Tomorrow everything could change. We don't know. Maybe Marquez will sandbag. And remember, Marquez also had that crash. He's a little bit injured. I don't know how much. They said he's okay. It maybe is affecting him a little bit. We don't really know. The other thing to keep in mind is this is an extremely physical circuit. The guys are this way, this way, this way, this way. Marquez has still got his shoulder injury. And we saw Vinales actually pulled out. He's got a screw loose. Not just up here, but on his shoulder, a screw actually came loose. He's pulled out. So we've got Jorge Martin and Marc Márquez who are not 100% together. And so it's possible that they're also being still affected by the injuries, and it'll be worse at this round because this is a far more physical circuit, especially the shoulders. They're doing this the whole way through. It's a tough race. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So my money is Marquez pole, Marquez sprint race, but Bezzecchi main race. That's what I think.
I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here, and I'm going to predict.
You're going to say Ogura is going to win.
No, I'm not going to say Ogura is going to win. I reckon Jorge Martinez is going to come through and he's going to run pole tomorrow.
That's possible. Martinez, the fact that he's quite... Where's Martinez? 7th. Maybe. I mean, he's very good at the one-lap sprint, so it's possible. Look, I mean, my predictions of Marquez pole, Marquez sprint, and Bezzecchi, they're not confident. I'd be very sort of haphazard for putting money on it. You know, it's not like overwhelming odds for those. But that's what I kind of think. But I would not be surprised if I'm wrong.
Looking at the times today, I do. Before the race, I said to you, I think they're going to go on a 2008. But looking at the times today, I think tomorrow they might actually dip into a 2007 possibly. Yeah.
I remember, so the beginning of the second practice, in the afternoon practice, the guys were running kind of 202, low 202s. And, you know, the people I was watching with were like, oh, look at these guys. You know, I said, no, they're not going fast yet. They're going to go about a second a lap faster, maybe more. No, surely not. And sure enough, they did. By the end of it, when Marquez 1.1 seconds faster than that. Again, Marquez, normally, I mean, this track, it kind of depends on how hard he's kind of pushing. I mean, maybe it has happened in the past where Marquez has kind of said, okay, look, I could really very easily outdo, you know, on this track, completely dominate. Let me not overdo it. Let me not do any more stupid things, especially with the crash in the morning. And maybe he was just slightly sandbagging and still fastest. That is possible. I've seen that before, where Marquez in qualifying doesn't do that well. Then the race starts and he just buggers off and wins by miles easily. So that has happened on this circuit before, back when he was with Honda. So I don't think it's quite the same now. I don't, given on the Honda he was really dominant. I don't think he quite has that domination now, but it is possible.
Yeah, and just looking at it, we've got 4 Ducatis in the top 10 there, 3 Aprilias, 2 KTMs. Surprise, surprise, Enea Bastianini came in 10th there.
He did.
And Luca Marini in 9th.
Yeah.
And just behind Enea, we had Jean Mir in the other Honda. So the 2 Hondas, are starting to knock on the door. And I'm quite surprised by Enea Bastianini actually getting that tech-free bike over the line today.
No, he did very, very well here. Clearly the track is working. I would say I think Binder he just hasn't found it yet. And hopefully they kind of sit tonight, work out exactly what's where, what needs to go where, and just figure it out and he gets further up tomorrow. Morbidelli had a crash. Rins is just struggling. What is he? Rins is 2.1 seconds down. He's far behind. That's on the Yamaha. Miller, Quartararo fastest Yamaha, Miller right behind, and Razgatlioglu not that far behind, so it's all very interesting. I'd say Razgatlioglu, that's very good considering he's on the Yamaha. He's right up there with fellow rookie Moreira, and Moreira's ridden around the circuit. He's done Moto 3 and Moto 2 here before, so he has a better knowledge, better groundwork to work from, whereas Razgatlioglu is trying to figure out which way this damn circuit goes for the first time. This is all so very interesting. But it was just fascinating today. As I say, normally what we see in the past is a Marc Márquez goes out there, by the first sector he's 0.3 down, in the second sector he's 0.5 down, and finally he crosses the line 0.6 or 0.7. And you kind of go, okay, well, here we are. And then he takes the rest of the session off and relaxes. And then we just see oranges before somebody gets quite close. Today, I think Marquez had to work for it. By the way, you notice that it's sector 3 of the 4. Marquez is a lot faster than everybody there. And that's the sector. They go down that long back straight. Now, remember, the lap is very different. The whole sector 1 is mostly fast and flowing. Sector 2 is a little bit of fast flowing, then a hairpin onto the back straight. Sector 3 starts down the back straight. And then we go into more kind of hairpins. So you break hairpin up the end of the back straight, hairpin, and then the end of sector 3. So where the sort of stop-go hairpins are, that is where Marquez is really fast. And that is Marquez terrain. Brake like hell, get the bike to a near standstill, stand it up and go. Marquez is extremely good at that. So yeah, we saw today, and he was not that far ahead going into end of sector 2. Then sector 3, he just dumped a whole lot. Went right down, and then sector 4 he actually lost a little bit. So yeah, we're going to see Marquez very, very strong in sector 3 tomorrow.
Let's talk about the track quickly, Donovan. Obviously, you've got that experience. You've been out on that track. Now, I've identified track turn 1 and turn 10, if you can talk to us about that. And then also, if you can address the track limit situation on this track for us, please.
So, okay, turn 1. Now, the interesting thing about turn 1 is you go down the start-finish straight, and it's not the longest straight in the world. It's probably 600-700 meters or so. You go down, but just after the start-finish straight, so 3/4 of the way down, it suddenly rises sharply, like almost like a roller coaster. You sort of go up like that. So when you're going down, you just see this wall of tar ahead of you. And then it rises up, and you brake like hell for this ridiculously sharp hairpin. I mean, it's like this. And you're down the first gear for that. You got to brake while going up this hill, and the bike gets all out of sorts. It sort of crests slightly, and then you turn first gear, you accelerate, and then it's a sharp downhill. You short shift to about third, and then into this right-hander, this pretty fast right-hander. From there, it's just a whole lot of flick-flacks. It's this way, that way, this way, that way, this way. And where the track limits get wrong is when people get those corners wrong, because they're tricky. It's a rhythm you have to really get together. And you get it a little bit wrong, and next thing you know, and it's all tarred around it, there's no dirt anywhere. You get it a little bit wrong, and next thing you know, you're off the track itself. And that's where the track limits become a problem, is through that section over there especially. And that's it. So you do a whole lap absolutely perfectly, and then on the very last corner, you get one tiny little nudge wrong. You lose 0.3 of a second, and it's great. That's how kind of close this is. It's spectacular.
Well, whichever way, I do think we're in for some great racing. I do think the battle is going to be around. It really depends what happens in the front, but I do think the battles we're going to see some real interesting racing from Alex Marquez tomorrow. I do think that him and Jorge might be bumping heads in there. Obviously, Bezz is there, and my little boyki Ogura, he seems to be heading for that podium as predicted. I look forward to some racing, Don.
Just one more thing, this is also an extremely abrasive circuit. Tire wear is going to be a problem. And so what you're going to probably see is a lot of the bikes might be quite close in the beginning. And as we saw last time, I mean, we had Vinales on the Aprilia come from absolutely nowhere, just overtake everybody and win the race. So it is possible that we might get this sort of strange win where it might not be the fastest rider, but it's the one who preserves their tires the best. So there's very possible that we might see that. So there might be this absolute wildcard win that no one ever guessed. Hopefully it's Brad Binder, but
I don't think so,
from 18th on the grid wins at COTA. Can you imagine?
Hey Don, it's as always, it's fabulous catching up with you, and I look forward to catching up with you after the race.
Good man, it's 12:30. I've got to be up early. I'm going to Red Star Raceway tomorrow. They've got racing there, and Suzuki invited me. So I'm going to get a whole 4 hours of sleep and then see what happens.
Guys, thank you very much for watching us. Please leave your comments below for either myself or Donovan. If you like what we're doing, do smash that like and subscribe buttons. And until next time, keep the rubber side down.